Yeah, thank you, Christopher, for providing me the opportunity. And being the last man standing between my audience and lunch, I would try to quickly deliver my presentation. So to start with, I just want to introduce my company. Like BACS Rajdhani Power Limited is one of the distribution utility in Delhi, and it serves around 2/3 of the Delhi, catering to around 2.55 million of consumers with a consumer base of 3,400 per square kilometer. In terms of AT&C losses, we are operating at single digits with a substantial reduction of loss over last 17 years of operations. And in terms of demand, BRPL serves around 4% of the Delhi's demand. Last year in the summer, we met somewhere around 3,200 megawatt, whereas Delhi's peak demand was 7,400 megawatt. And about consumer mix, we have around 86% of the consumer as residential consumers, contributing to 70% of the total consumption. And the last bottom graph is more important. It indicates the kind of RE portfolio we are going to have in the coming years. At present, we have around, say, 140 megawatt of RE, which includes solar, wind, small hydro, as well as rooftop solar, which is going to be around 29% of our total portfolio by 2021. This graph indicates the kind of seasonal as well as diurnal variation in demand which we face in our network. There is a variation of around 1,200 megawatt on a daily basis for almost 10 months in a year. Because if we see the upper graph, the blue line, which is of a summer day, we can see the difference between the maximum and minimum demand in a particular day has been around 1,160 megawatt. And likewise in winter also, we have say peak in the month of, likewise in the winter graph, so the green line, where we can see the peak demand occurs during the morning hours, primarily water heating loads, and then we have a minimum demand touching around 500 megawatt, which makes the difference of 1,200 megawatt in a given day. So this is the kind of variation which we face in our load curves on daily basis, and the storage will definitely help us in trying kind of load leveling, kind of flattening the load curve, which every utility looks for. This another graph I would like to indicate the kind of loading of our assets. This is a load duration curve of a distribution transformer, which says around, say, for 90% of the time, my DT is loaded only 20% of its rated capacity. So I want to indicate that our assets are loaded way below to their rated capacity for maximum number of the times. So that means we are planning for the asset mapping basically for peak loadings. So if we can reduce our peak, if we can shave off our peak, network peak, if we can shave off by using energy storage, so we can avoid additional expenditure for augmentation of our conventional lines and transformers. That could be one of the use case for the distribution companies. So these things I discussed, like our portfolio is going to have around 30% of RE in coming years. So, and as we already discussed, RE being intermittent, RE being variable in nature, we need to have some sort of flexibility. So there could be a flexibility by load following generation plants, like the gas peakers. But there we have a flexibility only one side. They can provide me like positive control power. But on the negative side, there is nothing which can absorb the excess energy. So energy storage is one of the key important parameters which can help us to integrate RE in a big way. And the second most important requirement would be for the ramping. When I say ramping, even though conventional plants can provide me the ramping requirements, but when there is a high RE integration across all utilities, across all states, then there could be an issue wherein conventional plants can provide me the required ramping at a given time frame. The second aspect I would like to discuss on the energy arbitrage. Like I discussed about the load curves which we have. So we have the possibility of peak shaving, we have the possibility of load leveling, which can reduce the burden on our assets. And it can also help me in avoidance of must sale of power. And the third vertical could be deviation settlement mechanism, wherein which has been provided by the regulator to have strict grid discipline, and the kind of DSM mechanism we have in our country, it becomes very difficult for a distribution utility to operate and maintain the grid discipline without paying any penalties for overdraw or underdraw from your schedule. So that battery energy storage can help us in avoidance of penalties under DSM mechanism. This I have already discussed the kind of RE capacities we have tied up, and more specifically I would like to say out of the 1200 megawatt of RE which we have planned by 21-22, major portion is planned to come from the solar. So if we consider if we see this graph, the net residual demand after considering the solar, there is a huge ramping up requirement when the solar is about to recede in the evening hours and demand goes up. So those ramping requirements are difficult to be met by the conventional load following generating plants. So there has to be some sort of flexibility source, either through pumped hydro storage or maybe lithium-ion batteries, but that has to be a flexible and fast response generating station. So under this, we try to do some sort of analysis for our network with the support of GTG RISE team, and we use their proprietary model for feasibility of deployment of grid scale energy storage. So under this, I will quickly take you through the process, what we did. We analyzed our load duration curve and across different levels in a year. And then we tried to do the dispatch simulation for thermal generations, hydro generation, and then we considered RE as a must-run plant. Then we tried to find out the slots where we have the deficit for ramping up. And then we simulate the battery energy storage system with those load duration curves and dispatch simulation. And we tried to find out the ramping requirement which can be met through the battery energy storage systems. And under this, we considered the benefits of BESS in terms of ramping support, peak shifting, and our capex deferment in terms of augmentation of lines and transformers. And we did this for say around 1 megawatt to 50 megawatt of battery energy storage sizes. We did this simulation. And then after this, we tried to do some sort of cost-benefit estimation, considering all the cost at one end and all the benefits which we can derive from this system on the other side. And we tried to find out whether we can achieve the break-even points at the current cost levels of battery, which seems to be difficult as of now because like what we felt, the commercially available prices in the market are still on the higher side, which can provide us the commercially exploitable solution wherein we can use this. So these are a few of the results which we get from the simulation study, wherein we found out there are at least minimum period of 8 slots of 15 minutes each. That means 2 hours in 5 months of summer where we have high demand. Ramping requirements are required through battery energy storage system. And likewise on the winter side, on the winters, when we have low demands, we have surplus generation through RE sources. In that case, we have to avoid those surplus generations in the market, because when there is a surplus across all utilities, across all states, the prices of that surplus in the market would be quite low or maybe zero. So instead of selling that surplus into the market, we try to do some analysis wherein we can charge the batteries during those surplus states, and we can use this energy at the peak hours. So other than ramping support, the other value stacks which I discussed, like we try to do energy time shift, we try to analyze the advantage which we get through the capacity deferment. And then there is some advantage in terms of prevention of outages. There were some outages in our network due to overloading. So if we can avoid the overloading of our upstream network using energy storage, so we can avoid those outages, and that can be monetized. Then of course, avoidance of DSM penalties is one of the case wherein we can avoid the penalties for overdall or underdall or maybe sustained deviations. In addition to these monetized benefits, there were a few non-monetized benefits which we tried to cover up. That was reactive power support, voltage control stability, and maybe black start capability, which we can utilize, which we can use through these systems. So I'll just close it in 1 minute. Yeah.
If you want to conclude, please take the time to make a conclusion.
I'll close in 30 seconds.
Sorry.
I'll close in 30 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the business model which we are trying to exploit now, battery as a service model or maybe an OPEX model, wherein we are looking for some third-party service provider who can come up and put up the system, and that CapEx investment can be recovered through some sort of tariff, like any other generating stations where we have tariff regulations provided by the regulator. So we can determine the tariff for the CapEx which investor has put up, and based on the tariff, we can have some sort of power purchase agreements signed with the third-party service provider. And the last slide is on the key recommendations which we feel like flexibility is must in terms in high RE scenarios. So we feel battery energy storage is one of the important parameter which should be there in the grid, either at transmission level, at distribution level as well. And we should try to monetize each of the value stack so that we can commercially exploit all the benefits and make it commercially available. The most important recommendation I would like to say, like in India, we do not have any proper regulations for energy storage. In fact, we do not have any definition for the energy storage defined in the regulation. So if that regulation has come up wherein we have some sort of definition for energy storage, we can have some sort of models where we can determine the tariff for those energy storage projects, then it could be a game changer where we can go for large installations of energy storage. And the last, not the least, the commercial viability of the project. We are still facing that commercial viability is yet to come for large scale deployment. So if some sort of VGF or CFA may be considered by policymakers, like for any other sector, like solar they did, and if that sort of VGF can be considered by policymakers, that will make this sector give some push. And OPEX modes may be considered with some service link agreements. And concessional loans may be considered by some financial institutions. So that's it from my side, and we look forward to work with the European utilities under this EU joint call opportunities for battery energy storage projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this interesting point of view from a distribution company. Just before you all rush out for lunch, which I can understand, I have a question, and I would like to take advantage of the fact that I have a representative of a distribution company and a representative from the TSO. We have discussed the advantages of storage, but I would like to know, in fact, in the past, have you already created, because of your demand, of your network, problems for these people from the TSO because of the solar generation? Has that already happened?
No, that point is yet to come. I don't think that much of RE penetration is
not yet.
Happened. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, because this happens now in some areas, particularly in Europe. The energy is flowing up, and these people, they don't like that. And this is why storage could be extremely important. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.